Ever wonder why you feel drawn to certain types of love? Why you feel unseen or not truly desired, even when you're in a relationship? Your Venus house placement reveals the exact area of life where you long to feel valued, appreciated, and deeply seen. This isn't just about romance, it's about the energy that makes you feel wanted, appreciated, and worthy of a connection at a soul level. Each Venus house points to a different type of love experience. And when that need goes unmet, it can lead to overgiving, people pleasing, or settling for a love that never really hits. In this video, I'm breaking down Venus in all 12 houses so you can uncover what kind of love actually makes you glow, where you may be blocking it, and how to start receiving the affection, attention, and energy you've always deserved. So grab your birth chart and find the house or houses where Venus sits in your chart. And let's dive in.
Venus in the first house radiates charm, beauty, and magnetism without even trying. But deep down, there's a longing that goes way beyond physical attraction. With Venus in the first house, you crave to be loved and desired simply for being you. No mask, no effort, no proving, just you in your natural essence. The first house is the house of identity, physical appearance, and how the world first meets you. It's your aura, your attitude, your instinctive way of showing up. Venus here fuses your natural personality with the energy of love, softness, and desire. So you often come across as graceful, likable, and aesthetically appealing, even if you don't try to be. People might assume you're confident or that life must be easier for you just because of how magnetic you seem from the outside. But what people see and what you feel internally are often two very different stories. Venus in the first makes your entire identity feel wrapped up in the concept of being lovable. You want to feel desired the moment you walk into a room. You want to be admired without effort. And you want that desire to be genuine, not based on how well you're performing or how perfectly you've presented yourself. But this visibility comes with its own kind of pressure. And that's where the wound begins. The wound with Venus in the first house often centers around visibility and worthiness. On the surface, you might get a lot of attention. You might be complimented for your looks, your presence, your charm. But deep inside, you may question whether that love or attention is real or just surface level. There's often a quiet fear of, if I stop performing, if I stop looking good, will they still love me? You may start to feel like you always have to be on, always likable, always beautiful, always easy to be around. You unconsciously link your identity to being someone that people find attractive or desirable. And that's exhausting. This can show up as shape-shifting your personality depending on who you're with. Over-personalizing rejection. Even minor feedback can feel like, I'm not enough. Struggling to feel lovable when you're not being noticed or complimented. Putting intense pressure on your physical appearance. Or feeling disconnected from your true self because so much energy goes into being liked. So you may attract relationships or situations where people are in love with the idea of you, but don't take the time to truly see you beneath the image. You might even over identify with being the muse, the beauty, the one who has it all together, even when you're falling apart inside. And that creates a painful split between the version of you the world responds to and the deeper, softer, messier self that you fear will be rejected if fully revealed. But Venus in the first isn't here to perform. You're here to experience love that reflects your truth, not just your shine. You deserve to be seen when you're glowing and when you're grieving, when you're magnetic and when you're messy. To begin to heal this area, the first step is to separate self-worth from appearance. Your beauty is powerful, but it's not your only value. Practice loving yourself beyond your reflection. Validate who you are on the inside, not just how well you're received or how together you look on the outside. Next is to let yourself be seen unfiltered. Practice emotional honesty. Let someone in, even when you're not polished, even when you're not being the cool, fun version of yourself. Start with small moments of vulnerability. This is how you rebuild safety in being loved for your truth. Next is to call back your energy from projection. Notice where you try to control how others perceive you. Are you curating your vibe out of fear that the real you won't be enough? Release the need to perform. Every time you show up authentically, you give your Venus the freedom to attract aligned love. Next is to relearn what love feels like, not just what it looks like. Love isn't always attention or praise. Real love shows up in quiet ways, in presence, consistency, respect, and emotional safety. Expand your definition of love to include being held, heard, and chosen, not just admired. And finally, romanticize your essence, not your image. Spend time reconnecting to who you are underneath the aesthetic. What makes you laugh? What brings you peace? What makes you feel whole without needing to be liked? Venus in the first thrives when your inner self becomes your love language. A great affirmation for you is, I am deeply lovable for who I am, not how I appear. If this resonated for you, definitely let me know in the comments, and be sure to like, share with your friends who can also benefit from this message, and subscribe for more. And if this really spoke to you, be sure to check out my offerings linked in the description box below that are all designed to guide you in dramatically elevating your life. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. With Venus in the second house, love is tied to value, security, and self-worth. You crave to feel desired in a way that's stable, proven, and undeniable. This isn't about fleeting romance. It's about knowing that you are worthy of lasting love, luxurious energy, and being poured into deeply and consistently. The second house is the house of value, how we earn, how we feel safe, and how we measure our self worth. It rules not just our finances and material possessions, but our entire relationship with having and receiving. And when Venus lands here, it makes the energy of love personal, intimate, tangible. You want to feel like someone's safe choice, like someone sees your worth and wants to invest in you emotionally and energetically, not because you demand it, but because they can't help but value you. This is the kind of love that shows up, that follows through, that makes you feel treasured, secure, and chosen again and again. You crave to feel like you're enough to keep, not just something exciting to chase, but something worth staying for. But that kind of love starts inside of you. And for Venus in the second, that journey can be rocky. The emotional wound here often centers around deservedness and receiving. You want to feel deeply wanted, but somewhere along the way, you may have internalized the belief that you have to earn love, that you have to prove you're valuable enough to be chosen, kept, or invested in. There's a deep ache that says, if I just do more, give more, become more, maybe I'll finally feel like enough. This wound can manifest in so many subtle ways, such as you shrink your desires to avoid being too much. You stay in relationships or situations where you're underappreciated, hoping they'll eventually see your value. You feel uncomfortable receiving gifts, compliments, or help unless you've earned it. You tie your self-worth to your productivity, income, appearance, or how much you contribute. Or you settle for breadcrumbs and call it love because part of you doubts that you're worth the full feast. And while you may give so freely to others, your time, your energy, your devotion, you may struggle to receive even half of that in return. Because at the core of it, love can feel conditional when your inner value isn't solid. You might ask for less than you deserve, just to make sure you're not abandoned for asking for more. You may also experience love as something transactional, not because you want to, but because somewhere deep down, you were taught that love equates effort, and you must give to receive. This creates a quiet pattern of over-functioning, carrying emotional loads, paying love's bills with your energy, waiting for someone to finally see your worth based on how much you've sacrificed. But Venus in the second isn't here to earn love through labor. You are here to remember that your existence is valuable, that you are already a prize, that nothing external can define your internal worth. You don't have to shrink to be kept. You don't have to prove anything to be loved. You are the investment. You are the asset. You are the abundance. Now, to begin to heal displacement, the first step is to rebuild your inner value system. Ask yourself, where did I learn that I wasn't enough? Get brutally honest about who taught you to equate your worth with work, money, perfection, or approval. Then rewire it. Make your value internal, not circumstantial. Next is to feel safe asking for more. You're not greedy. You're not demanding. You're just finally honoring what you actually desire. Practice saying, "This is what I want." Then let it land. The right energy will rise to meet you. Next is to treat your body like a temple, not a transaction. Nourish yourself without guilt. Rest without apology. Indulge in pleasure because you're worthy of feeling good, not just being good. Your body isn't something to perfect. It's something to worship. Next is to shift from proving to receiving. Catch yourself in moments of overfunctioning. Pause and ask, am I giving because it feels good? Or because I'm afraid I won't be loved if I don't? Then practice softening. Allow yourself to receive, even if it feels awkward at first. And finally, surround yourself with mirrors of your worth. Create a life that reflects back your value. This means being around people who pour into you, keeping promises to yourself, upgrading your environment, and investing in your growth, not from lack, but from love. A great affirmation for you is, I am inherently worthy of love, pleasure, and devotion, just as I am. If this resonated for you, drop a comment and let me know. And of course, be sure to like, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more. And if this really hit home, check out my offerings linked in the description box below. I'd love to help you tap into your power. Thanks so much for watching. With Venus in the third house, love lives in your words, your voice, your mind, and the little moments. You crave to feel desired for the way you express yourself, for how you think, how you speak, how you make others feel just by being in conversation with you. The third house rules communication, intellect, curiosity, and connection. It's the house of how we process, learn, and share. So when Venus is here, love becomes deeply tied to being heard, understood, and appreciated intellectually. You want to feel chosen for your ideas, for your presence in a room, for how effortlessly you can brighten a conversation, drop a truth bomb, or say something that makes someone's entire day shift. This is the kind of Venus that sends love text just because, that thrives on mental intimacy, that feels closest to people through constant connection, quick check-ins, inside jokes, deep convos that last all night. But beneath the charm and wit is a deeper need. To feel like your voice holds weight, like your thoughts matter, like you're not just liked for being entertaining or easy to talk to, but valued for your mind, your perspective, your presence. Now, the wound with Venus in the third house often revolves around not feeling truly heard, like your voice has to be cute or digestible to be accepted. You may have grown up feeling like your words were ignored, dismissed, or not taken seriously unless they made someone else comfortable. Over time, you might learn to speak in a way that pleases others, tiptoes around the truth, or stays agreeable, even when your real thoughts are burning inside you. There's often a deep internal ache with this placement. Do they really know me? Or just the version of me I keep giving them? This placement can create overthinking how to say something the right way to avoid conflict or rejection. Being the funny one, the witty one, or the chill one to earn connection. Feeling unseen or hurt when you are vulnerable and others don't hold space. Craving consistent communication, but attracting people who ghost, breadcrumb, or leave you on red, as well as struggling to express real needs because you fear being misunderstood or brushed off. You may attract people who love your vibe, but don't actually hold space for your truth. You may minimize your own needs, emotions, or intelligence just to stay liked. And at times, you might feel like no matter how much you talk, no one is really listening. But Venus in the third is here to reclaim the full value of your voice, your truth, your ideas, your presence. You're not just a messenger. You are the message, and you deserve to be loved in full volume, not just polite sound bites. Now, to begin to heal and activate this placement, the first step is to speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. Stop editing your authenticity. If it's true for you, it's valid. Start saying what you mean in real time. Your voice carries beauty and depth that's meant to be heard, not diluted. Next is to value your mind the way you want others to. Feed your brain the way you'd nourish your body. Read, learn, create, journal, not to perform intelligence, but to affirm that your thoughts are worth cultivating. You are brilliant, and you don't need a filter. Next is to stop romanticizing inconsistent communicators. If someone can't meet your mental and emotional openness, they're not aligned. Love should sound like clear communication, not confusion. Next is to create rituals around your self-expression, whether it's voice notes to yourself, poetry, or even talking out loud in the mirror. Make your voice a safe space. Venus in the third needs expression to feel connection to the self. And finally, stop minimizing the little things. This placement finds beauty in everyday moments. Don't downplay that. Romanticize your daily walks, coffee combos, text from your best friend. The small things are the love story. A great affirmation for you is, my voice is powerful. My thoughts are worthy. I deserve to be loved for who I am and how I speak my truth. If this spoke to you, drop a comment and let me know. Also, be sure to like, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if this really hit, be sure to check out my offerings linked in the description box below. I'd love to help you shift into your next level. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Venus in the fourth house doesn't just crave love, it craves belonging. A love that feels like home, a relationship where your emotions are safe, your needs are sacred, and your softness is never too much. With this placement, you don't want the spotlight. You want the sanctuary. The fourth house rules our roots, our childhood, our emotional foundation, and the most private layers of who we are. It's the part of the chart that governs safety, ancestry, home, and healing. So when Venus lives here, love becomes something intimate, sacred, and emotionally charged. You want someone to love you like family, but without the wounds. Like a partner who builds a world with you that feels nourishing, grounding, and real. You might not crave loud love, but you crave depth. You want to be loved in the quiet ways, in the late night talks, the care when you're tired, the way someone remembers the smallest details about what makes you feel held. But because this love runs so deep, the fear of losing that kind of connection or never truly having it can feel even deeper. The emotional wound here often comes from the past. With Venus in the fourth, your beliefs about love, safety, and worth were shaped early, often in childhood. And whether you experienced emotional neglect, abandonment, emotional overdependence, or a lack of stability, it left a mark. There may be a core feeling of love leaves, or it only comes when I'm needed, not when I need. This placement often holds a tender grief, a longing for emotional intimacy that was never fully available when it mattered most. You may have learned to parent yourself emotionally from a young age, or felt like you had to be the emotionally strong one in the family. As a result, you may now be fiercely independent, but deeply crave to be taken care of. You may struggle to open up emotionally until you feel completely safe. You may attract emotionally unavailable partners who mirror your early caregivers. You may feel like your love is too much, too sensitive, too deep, too vulnerable. You may build walls and call them boundaries, when what you're really doing is protecting a heart that's been let down too many times. And yet, you love so beautifully. You give your whole heart when you feel safe. You nurture, you listen, you show up in ways most people can't even articulate. You become home for others. But so often, you're left wondering, where is my home? Who holds me? You're not here to earn love by being the emotional anchor for everyone else. You're here to be met in your tenderness, not just in your strength. You're here to receive the kind of love that feels like coming home to yourself. To begin to heal and activate this placement, the first step is to let yourself be held. Start small. Let someone support you emotionally. Accept help. Open up when you're tempted to retreat. Healing begins the moment you stop hiding the parts of you that feel too needy. Next is to redefine what home means. Your home doesn't have to look like the past. Create new rituals, safe spaces, and relationships that feel nurturing. You get to reparent yourself and rebuild the emotional foundation you didn't receive. Next is to release the need to over-nurture. Just because you can hold others doesn't mean you have to. Learn to give from overflow, not obligation. You deserve to be poured into as deeply as you pour out. Next is to trust your emotional needs are sacred. Your need for comfort, presence, safety, and connection isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Stop shaming your sensitivity. The more you honor your emotions, the more aligned your relationships become. And finally, romanticize emotional intimacy. Venus in the fourth thrives in slow, deep, intentional love. Start loving yourself that way. Take long baths. Cook for yourself like you're your own lover. Journal under candlelight. Build rituals that whisper, "You are safe here." A great affirmation for you is, I deserve love that feels like home, safe, consistent, and emotionally true. If this resonated, definitely let me know in the comments. And be sure to like, share with your friends who can also benefit from this message, and subscribe for more. And if this really spoke to you, be sure to check out my offerings linked in the description box below that are all designed to guide you in dramatically elevating your life. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Venus in the fifth house wants love that's alive, that sparkles, that inspires. This is the placement of romantic radiance, where desire, self-expression, and joy become a love language. You don't just want to be loved, you want to be adored, celebrated, seen in your light. The fifth house rules pleasure, passion, creativity, fun, and romance. It's the part of the chart that governs joy, playfulness, and the way we uniquely express our soul. So when Venus lives here, love feels like art. Flirtation is healing. Attention is affirming. And you shine when you're able to show up as your whole radiant self. This is the placement that craves dramatic, expressive, soul on fire kind of love. You want to feel chosen in a way that's bold, proud. You want someone to say, "I love you," and mean it with their whole chest. But underneath that glow is often a quieter longing to feel loved even when the spotlight fades, to feel like you're still worth it when the excitement calms down, to be adored not just for your shine, but for your soul. The wound with Venus in the fifth house often revolves around conditional visibility. You may have learned early that you're most lovable when you're performing, when you're bright, beautiful, exciting, entertaining. But when the energy dims, when you're not on, that's when the fear creeps in. Am I still enough? This placement can carry a deep fear of being forgettable. You might constantly seek validation through romance, attention, or recognition, but never feel like it truly lands. You shine so brightly for others, but often feel unseen when you're just human. This can show up like overgiving in romantic relationships to prove your worth, chasing emotionally unavailable people just to feel the thrill of being chosen, hiding your sadness, anger, or insecurity to keep others impressed or entertained, equating your value with how fun, creative, or attractive you seem, feeling like your love is too intense or not enough to hold someone's attention. You may also struggle with the fear of fading, of being replaced, outshined, or forgotten, especially when you've poured so much of your energy into being someone's light. And while your heart is naturally generous, passionate, and open, there's a pattern of giving it to people who don't know what to do with all that light. But the truth is, you're not here to dim or shrink or prove. You're here to let your authentic essence be the attraction, not the performance. Your light doesn't need to be earned. You were born to be seen. To begin to heal and activate this placement, the first step is to let your inner child lead. Reconnect with the version of you who played, danced, created, and loved without shame. Venus in the fifth heals through joy, through play, through remembering that you don't have to earn delight. You are delight. Next is to create for your soul, not their applause. Whether it's your style, your content, your voice, or your gifts, express yourself in ways that feel true, not performative. Not everything has to be seen to be valid. Sometimes your private joy is the deepest love offering. Next is to stop romanticizing inconsistency. You deserve love that is both passionate and present. Don't mistake hot and cold dynamics for chemistry. If someone dims your light or only loves you when you're shining, they're not your match. Next is to practice being seen in your shadows. Let someone witness you in your vulnerable moments, in the silence, in the slowness. This teaches your nervous system that you don't have to wow anyone to be worthy of love. And finally, flirt with your own reflection, literally and metaphorically. Say nice things to yourself. Take yourself on solo dates. Show off for yourself. This placement thrives when you romance your own radiance. A great affirmation for you is I am magnetic, worthy, and unforgettable, whether I'm shining or still. If this resonated for you, drop a comment and let me know. And of course, be sure to like, share with your friends, and subscribe for more. And if this really hit home, be sure to check out my offerings linked below. I'd love to help you tap into your power. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Venus in the sixth house craves to be desired, not just for who they are, but for how much they give. You want to be seen for your devotion, your consistency, your quiet loyalty, the way you show up and pour into the people you care about, even when no one's watching. The sixth house is the realm of service, effort, and everyday devotion. It rules routines, health, work, and the way we support the systems that support life. Venus here doesn't just want grand romantic gestures. It wants to matter in the small moments. It wants to be appreciated for the details, for the care behind the care. This is the kind of love that runs errands for you when you're sick, that remembers how you take your coffee, that folds the blanket just the way you like it. And for someone with Venus in the sixth house, that kind of intentional day in, day out love is sacred. You're the type to show love through actions, helping, fixing, remembering the little things, handling the mess behind the scenes, making life easier for everyone else. You love in practical, grounded ways, and you want someone to notice that, to see the intention behind your care, to desire you for your heart and your effort. But love here often feels like something you have to earn. You might find yourself working overtime in relationships, emotionally, physically, or even energetically, thinking that the more you give, the more you'll finally be valued. There's this quiet, unspoken belief: if I do enough, if I prove I'm good enough, I'll finally be chosen. With this, you might attract people who unconsciously take from you, who expect your caretaking but rarely offer the same devotion in return. You become the reliable one, the helper, the one who handles things, and yet it feels like you're never the one being poured into. But the truth is, the more you overextend in this area, the more invisible you feel. You become appreciated for your usefulness, but not always your essence. And that's where the wound begins to take root. When love becomes a transaction and your worth starts feeling like it's measured by what you do, not who you are. There's often a deep inner ache. What if no one ever chooses me just because they want to? What if I only matter when I'm being helpful? This can show up in quiet, everyday ways, such as you taking on too much at work or in relationships, hoping someone will finally notice how much you're doing. Or you may give until you're depleted, then feel guilty for needing anything in return. You may micromanage or fix everything around you because part of you fears that chaos equals rejection. You might often feel more comfortable in the act of giving than in the act of receiving. Or you may struggle to rest without feeling lazy or unproductive, even though your soul is screaming for stillness. There can also be a hidden sense of resentment that builds over time. You love hard, you show up, you sacrifice, but the love you give isn't always mirrored back. And that hurts because deep down, Venus in the sixth doesn't just want to be useful, they want to be wanted. You may have internalized the message, often in childhood, that being good meant being helpful, quiet, or low maintenance. That love was something you had to deserve, not something that should just arrive for you effortlessly and freely. As a result, you may date people who need fixing instead of loving. You may work yourself into burnout while calling it loyalty. You may push down your own needs so you can stay easy to love. But love isn't something you should have to audition for. It's not a performance. It's not a job. It's not a checklist you check off with your acts of service and self-sacrifice. Your heart, just as it is, tired, messy, imperfect, is already enough. To begin to heal in this space, the first step is to reclaim your right to rest. You don't have to hustle for love. Rest isn't laziness. It's an energetic reset. Make softness a ritual. Treat rest like it's sacred. Light a candle and pour a cup of tea like you're serving your own soul. Next is to stop fixing and start feeling. Notice when your impulse to help is actually a way to feel needed. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to, or because I'm afraid I won't be loved if I don't? Next is to say no as an act of self-devotion. Boundaries are your Venus glow up. Start saying no to tasks, roles, and emotional weight that were never yours to carry. You are not a human support system. You are a whole being who deserves reciprocated energy. Next is to create a ritual of romantic discipline. Venus in the sixth house can thrive when routine becomes romantic. So build a life where your daily habits are soaked in beauty. Your skincare routine, your lunch break, your journaling, make them sacred. Make them yours. And finally, recognize your worth outside of what you do. Journal on this. Who am I when I'm not helping, fixing, or producing? Then ask yourself, can I still feel desirable in that space? Remember that you are not lovable because of what you do. You're lovable regardless of it. A great affirmation for you is, I am worthy of love, rest, and devotion without needing to earn it. If this resonated for you, definitely let me know in the comments. And of course, be sure to like, share with your friends who can also benefit from this message, and subscribe for more. And if this really spoke to you, be sure to check out my offerings linked in the description box below that are all designed to guide you in dramatically elevating your life. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for watching. With Venus in the seventh house, love feels like your mirror. You crave connection that feels equal, devoted, and real. You want to be chosen intentionally, consistently, and publicly. You want a partner who shows up fully, who sees you as their other half, and who builds a life with you, not just for fun, but for forever. The seventh house rules long-term partnership, commitment, balance, and reflection. It's where we seek union, but it's also where we see ourselves through others. With Venus here, relationships feel like destiny. You may long for that one person who makes everything click, who finally brings stability to your heart and helps you feel whole. You are a natural romantic. You see the potential in connection. You love deeply, and you often give your all when you care. You want love that feels mutual, that says, I choose you no matter what. But with that desire comes a deeper vulnerability. If relationships define your sense of worth, what happens when love leaves? The emotional wound with Venus in the seventh house is often tied to self-worth through relationships. You may have learned early, consciously or unconsciously, that love means being chosen by someone else, that being in a relationship equals being lovable, and that being alone equals being unworthy. There can be a fear of, who am I without love, without a partner, without someone to reflect me back to myself? You might over-identify with the role of girlfriend, partner, or lover because it feels safer to be part of something than to be fully in your own identity. So this can show up as losing yourself in your relationships, mirroring your partner's needs while ignoring your own, confusing attraction with validation, settling for almost love just to avoid being alone, believing your value increases when someone chooses you publicly or commits to you, struggling to maintain boundaries or individuality in partnerships. You might attract partners who are emotionally unavailable, indecisive, or imbalanced because they reflect how unsure you are about choosing yourself first. You may fear abandonment or being forgotten. You may cling to the idea of forever even when it hurts. And you may give more than you receive just to keep the connection alive, hoping that if you love hard enough, they'll stay. But Venus in the seventh is not here to lose herself in love. You're here to experience sacred reflection, not self-erasure. You're here to learn that being chosen by someone else is beautiful, but being chosen by you is what makes the love real. Now, to begin to heal and activate this placement, the first step is to reclaim your relationship with yourself. You are your own soulmate first. Pour into your self relationship with the same energy you give to others. Date yourself. Affirm yourself. Ask, would I be excited to be in a partnership with me? Next is to learn to choose love without abandoning yourself. Mutuality doesn't mean sacrifice. Speak your needs. Keep your identity. Let relationships enhance you, not erase you. Next is to redefine being alone. Alone doesn't mean unloved. Start seeing solitude as a sacred mirror. What parts of you have you only met when no one else is around? Next is to be the kind of partner you long for. Loyal, respectful, present, affirming. Practice showing up for yourself in the ways you wish others would. This teaches your nervous system that you are already in a relationship with you. And finally, stop chasing symmetry. Embrace authenticity. Not every relationship needs to be perfectly balanced to be valuable. Stop trying to match energy if it means shrinking yourself. Let your love be honest, not performative. A great affirmation for you is, I am already worthy of love, commitment, and deep devotion because I choose myself first. If this resonated for you, let me know in the comments. And also be sure to like, share this with your friends, and subscribe for more. And if this really spoke to you, check out my offerings linked in the description box below. I'd love to guide you in your healing journey. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. With Venus in the 8th house, love is never casual. It's soul level, consuming, transformational. You don't just want romance. You want intimacy that rewires you, connection that strips you bare, loyalty that goes beyond logic and into the realm of spiritual contract. The 8th house rules sex, death, transformation, trauma, power, and shared energy. It's the house of merging, where we let someone all the way in and see if they stay. Venus here craves a kind of love that feels fated, all or nothing, deep or don't bother. This is the placement of sacred vulnerability. You want to be desired for your soul, not just your body. You want someone who sees all the parts of you that you hide, your pain, your passion, your power, and doesn't flinch. But when love lives this deep, it's not always easy to trust it. And that's where the wound lives. The emotional wound of Venus in the 8th often centers around fear of betrayal, abandonment, or losing yourself completely. You may have experienced love that felt like a betrayal of trust, or early relationships that taught you love equals pain, loss, or secrecy. You want to let someone in, but part of you doesn't know if it's safe. You crave intimacy, but often test people to see if they'll leave. You love deeply, but may hold back out of fear that your intensity is too much. There may be a core belief of, if I give all of me, I'll lose everything. This placement can show up as attracting emotionally unavailable or manipulative partners, testing partners with games or silence to see if they'll fight for you, overgiving sexually or emotionally to feel bonded, withholding vulnerability as a form of control, feeling ashamed of how intense, possessive, or jealous you can get. There's often an inner war between wanting to merge completely and fearing what will be left of you if you do. You might feel like you have to give everything in order to be loved, or like you're only valuable when you're needed, broken, or hurting. And at times, you may seek lovers who mirror your pain, who reflect your trauma back to you, just to feel the familiarity of chaos disguised as passion. But Venus in the 8th wasn't made for toxic bonding or trauma replay. You are here to experience soul intimacy that is both safe and sacred. You are here to reclaim your right to be loved without losing yourself in the process. To begin to heal and activate this placement, the first step is to rebuild trust in yourself first. You can't open up to others if you don't feel safe with you. Start by honoring your emotions, validating your pain, and being radically honest about what you need. Your body will relax into love when you do this. Next is to stop confusing intensity with intimacy. Not every fire is a soul connection. Learn to recognize the difference between passion and chaos. Love that's real doesn't require you to suffer for it. Next is to create intimacy without exposure. Vulnerability doesn't mean spilling everything. Start slow. Share in layers. Choose people who earn access to your heart, not just those who trigger your wound. Next is to let go of emotional power plays. Silence, seduction, withholding. These are protection mechanisms, not love. Let your power come from presence, not control. Say how you feel. Be willing to be seen. And finally, transform pain into power. Your depth is your superpower. Channel it. Create from it. Heal through it. Let love become your alchemy, not your undoing. A great affirmation for you is, I am safe to love deeply without losing myself in the process. If this resonated for you, drop a comment below. And of course, be sure to like, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more. And if this really spoke to you, check out my offerings linked in the description box below. I'd love to help you tap into your power. Thanks so much for watching. With Venus in the 9th house, love has to feel like an elevation. You crave connection that opens your mind, feeds your spirit, and inspires you to grow. You're not here for small talk and shallow vibes. You want someone who can explore life with you, someone who believes in something bigger and believes in you just as much. The 9th house rules expansion, travel, spirituality, wisdom, freedom, and higher learning. It's the realm of belief systems, philosophy, and exploration. So when Venus lands here, love becomes a portal. You're attracted to people with vision, passion, and depth. People who can show you the world or challenge the one you've built for yourself. You want love that teaches, love that travels, love that evolves, whether that's literally through new cultures and places or metaphorically through ideas and experiences. You crave a partner who awakens your spirit and makes life feel limitless. But behind that light chasing spirit is a deep vulnerability. What if no one can truly meet you in your vision? What if they love you for your energy, but not for your essence? The emotional wound with Venus in the ninth often comes down to being misunderstood, minimized, or underestimated. You carry big ideas, big energy, big dreams, but at some point in your life, you may have felt shrunk, like your hopes were too idealistic, your beliefs too different, or your desires too unrealistic to be truly accepted. This can create an inner story like, I have to go it alone. People don't get me. You might have grown up in an environment that didn't nurture your curiosity or encouraged you to come back down to earth. So now you may feel safer loving people from a distance rather than fully landing in a relationship. You may keep parts of your beliefs or spiritual life private, fearing they'll be dismissed or judged. You may over-romanticize unavailable people or faraway situations that feel exciting but not grounded. You may struggle to settle down, fearing that commitment equals limitation. Or you may attract partners who don't match your depth, vision, or values, and end up feeling stuck. You might also use your freedom as armor. You love big and dream bigger, but deep down, you may fear that if someone really gets close, they won't stay. So you keep things breezy, light, or long distance. Not because you don't want love, but because you fear outgrowing it or being too much for it. But Venus in the ninth isn't here to shrink for love. You're here to expand through it, to be seen in your full capacity for your mind, your mission, your magic, and to know that you can have both freedom and intimacy. In order to heal and activate this placement, the first step is to stop watering down your wisdom. Your beliefs, perspectives, and ideas are sacred. You don't need to simplify yourself to be accepted. Share what's real to you and let it attract people who are aligned, not intimidated. Next is to make freedom an internal state. Love doesn't have to feel like a trap. The more grounded you feel in your own freedom, the less you'll fear commitment. Choose connection that expands your soul, not just your options. Next is to bridge the gap between fantasy and reality. Romanticize, yes, but also ground your vision in something you can build with someone. Dream together, plan together, Create a shared future that feels like a co-authored story. Next is to let love challenge you. Don't avoid intimacy just because it doesn't match your vision perfectly. Sometimes the lesson, the expansion, the elevation is the person. Let love evolve you, not just mirror your ideals. And finally, create rituals that reflect your inner beliefs, whether it's journaling, meditation, solo travel, or deep combos with like-minded souls. Anchor your values into your daily life. The more you live your truth, the more love you will find in it. A great affirmation for you is, I am worthy of love that expands with me, not one that asks me to shrink. If this landed for you, let me know in the comments. And of course, like, share with your friends, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if this really spoke to you, be sure to check out my offerings below. I'd love to help you step into your power. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. With Venus in the 10th house, love and legacy are linked. You don't just want romance. You want love that means something. Love that lasts. Love that builds. Love that people see and respect. You want to be chosen in ways that are visible, serious, and aligned with your long-term goals. The 10th house is the house of career, public image, status, and achievement. It's how the world sees you and what you're known for. So when Venus lives here, there's a natural desire to be admired, respected, and publicly claimed in love. You crave a relationship that makes you feel proud, empowered, chosen loudly. This is the placement of power couples, purposeful partnerships, and romantic dynamics that impact your whole life path. Love here isn't a distraction. It's a legacy builder, and you take it seriously. But underneath the success-driven approach to love is a tender truth. You want to know you're not just being used for your energy, image, or impact, but loved for who you are when no one's looking. The emotional wound with Venus in the 10th often centers around performance, perfection, and public validation. You may have grown up in an environment where love and praise were tied to achievement, where you felt seen when you were succeeding, but overlooked when you were struggling. So now love can feel like a metric, a status update, a reflection of how together you are. There might be an internal story like, if I'm successful enough, impressive enough, perfect enough, then I'll be chosen. This can show up as equating your worth with how much you accomplish or how you're perceived. Attracting partners who want to be seen with you more than they want to see you. Feeling uncomfortable with emotional vulnerability or being seen in your mess. Prioritizing ambition or reputation over connection, and then wondering why love feels distant. As well as being hyper-independent in love, yet craving someone who truly shows up for you. You might fear being a burden, so you overfunction. You might struggle with asking for help, so you build in silence. And sometimes you might settle for surface level love because it looks good on paper, even when your soul is starving for depth. But Venus in the 10th isn't here to prove her worth. You are here to experience a love that supports your purpose, but doesn't require you to perform it. You deserve love that shows up for your soul, not just your resume. To begin to heal and activate this placement, the first step is to detach your worth from your achievements. You are not only lovable when you're thriving. You are not only valid when you're impressive. Give yourself permission to be loved in the stillness, not just in your success. Next is to let someone see you behind the scenes. The real you, the raw, unfiltered, exhausted you deserves love too. Practice letting trusted people into your private world. Intimacy grows when you let yourself be known, not just admired. Next is to stop romanticizing power over partnership. You can be ambitious and soft, driven and held. Let go of the belief that love will slow you down. The right relationship will elevate your mission, not distract from it. Next is to reclaim your emotional authority. You don't need to control how others perceive you. Practice being honest, even when it's messy. The more honest you are, the more magnetic you become. And finally, let love support your vision, not replace it. You're building a legacy, but you don't have to do it alone. Call in relationships that honor your purpose, hold you accountable to your truth, and love you beyond your role. A great affirmation for you is, I am worthy of love that honors my purpose, not just my performance. If this resonated for you, definitely let me know in the comments. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends, and subscribe for more. And if this really spoke to you, check out my offerings linked in the description box below. I'd love to guide you in your healing journey. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. With Venus in the 11th house, you crave love that feels like acceptance. You want to be loved in your natural state, not for how well you fit in, but for how boldly you stand out. You want connection that feels aligned, expansive, and deeply supportive, not just romantically, but through soul-aligned friendships, communities, and shared dreams. The 11th house rules friendship, community, the future, and the bigger vision. It's your chosen family, your soul tribe, your wildest dreams. Venus here isn't just about romance. It's about being seen and celebrated for who you are when you're not performing. It's about being chosen for your quirks, your energy, and your higher mission. You thrive in connections that feel open, inspiring, and emotionally safe to be you. You're magnetic when you're surrounded by people who get your vision and love you in your freedom, not despite it. But behind all of this is a deeper ache. Will anyone ever fully get me? Or am I too much, not enough, or just unrelatable? The wound with Venus in the 11th house often centers around belonging, betrayal, or being misunderstood by your people. You may have experienced deep heartbreaks in friendships, community spaces, or group dynamics where you thought you were safe until you weren't. This can leave you with a deep internal story. I have to dim, adapt, or detach to stay accepted. It might show up as over-identifying with being the cool, chill, or emotionally detached one in relationships. Struggling to fully express your needs for fear of being seen as dramatic or needy. Romanticizing unavailable or free-spirited people who don't offer true intimacy. Attracting emotionally distant friendships or partners that keep you at arm's length. Believing that if you're too real, you'll be rejected, replaced, or abandoned. You might also fall into the trap of being the connector, the one who's always there for others, rooting for everyone's glow up, while feeling invisible in your own emotional world. And while you can feel deeply connected to many, you might still carry a quiet loneliness, the feeling of not fully belonging anywhere, of constantly being in the group, not of it, of being liked but not chosen. But Venus in the 10th isn't here to fit into old systems of love. You're here to redefine what love and belonging look like. You're here to build soul-level connections where your individuality is your magic, not your flaw. To begin to heal and activate this placement, the first step is to stop diluting your truth to belong. The right people won't need you to soften your message, hide your power, or tone down your spirit. Let yourself be fully expressed. You're not too much. You're the match for your soul tribe. Next is to be the love you wish existed in your circles. Show up emotionally in your friendships and communities. Ask the real questions. Offer the depth you want to receive. That frequency will call in people who can meet you. Next is to make peace with being different. Your uniqueness is not a curse. It's your calling. Stop chasing normal. Start embracing your role as someone who brings love into spaces that need your energy to evolve. Next is to let yourself be chosen, not just liked. Stop investing in relationships where you're one of many. You're not just the cool friend or the go-to listener. You deserve connections where your presence is cherished, not just convenient. And finally, anchor your worth outside of group dynamics. The deepest belonging starts with you. Ask yourself, if I weren't trying to belong, what kind of life and love would I create? Then go create it. A great affirmation for you is, I am worthy of love that sees me, celebrates me, and chooses me in my full authenticity. If this hit for you, drop a comment below. And of course, be sure to like, share with your friends, and subscribe for more. And if this really spoke to you, check out my offerings linked in the description box below. I'd love to help you step into your power. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. With Venus in the 12th house, love is sacred, hidden, and spiritual. You don't crave surface level attraction. You long for soul fusion, connection that transcends time, love that doesn't just hold your body, but holds your soul. You crave to be understood without having to explain, to be felt, not just seen. The 12th house rules the unconscious, the hidden, the spiritual realm, dreams, past lives, and endings. It's the part of your chart where energy dissolves into something greater, so that when Venus is here, your love energy doesn't play by earthly rules. You feel things that are unspoken. You carry deep empathy. You know things without needing proof. And you often love people in silence, from the shadows. Your heart is poetic, healing, and expansive. You fall in love with energy, with essence, with someone's inner world. And when you love, you dissolve. You give all. You become one. But that kind of love can leave you invisible. And that's where the pain lives. The emotional wound of Venus in the 12th house is feeling unseen, unchosen, or abandoned in love, especially after giving everything. You may have experienced relationships where you were the secret, the supporter, or the one who loved deeply but never received the same depth in return. There's often a repeating theme. I love in the shadows, and no one ever sees me fully. This can show up as attracting unavailable or emotionally distant partners, secret relationships, or love dynamics that lack public acknowledgement, loving people you can't have, or staying attached long after they're gone, romanticizing love as a fantasy, then feeling deeply let down by reality, feeling used for your compassion, softness, or healing energy, then discarded. You may carry heartbreaks that never got closure. You may love silently for years. You may feel like your love is always waiting in the wings, never getting to fully take center stage. And because your heart is so sensitive, you may learn to hide it, to love in secret, to expect disappointment, to internalize the belief that true love is meant for others, and for you, it must be sacrificed. But Venus in the 12th isn't here to suffer for love. You are here to experience divine love, a love that includes you, that honors your softness, that chooses you in the light, not just in the hidden corners. You are not meant to be the background character in your own love story. To begin to heal and activate this placement, the first step is to stop hiding your love. Let it be seen. Let you be seen. You don't have to love from the sidelines anymore. Start expressing your desires, even if your voice shakes. This is how you become visible in your own life. Next is to cut energetic cords to old or unavailable lovers. You're sensitive to past attachments. Start releasing what's no longer yours to carry. Meditation, water rituals, or even cord cutting visualizations can help you reclaim your energy. Next is to create spiritual boundaries. Just because you feel everything doesn't mean you have to carry everything. Protect your heart. Not everyone is entitled to your healing, empathy, or forgiveness. Next is to romanticize your own solitude. Venus in the 12th needs spiritual nourishment. Light candles. Write love letters to yourself. Connect with your spirit guides. Make your inner world a sacred space that holds you first. And finally, let love be mutual, not sacrificing. Stop sacrificing your needs to be the one who understands. You deserve love that sees you, names you, and honors your presence out loud. A great affirmation for you is, I am worthy of love that sees me, chooses me, and holds me in the light, not just in the silence. If this resonated for you, definitely let me know in the comments. And of course, be sure to like, share with your friends, and subscribe for more. And if this really spoke to you, check out my offerings linked in the description box below. I'd love to guide you in your healing journey. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching.